Hello everybody, my name is Anita. I am one of the support coaches for Jumpstart, and today we're going to be going over Phonological Awareness Part 2, Session 11. This is continuing on the Part 1 Phonological Awareness that we did previously. Before I start the video, I want to let you know, like always, that you could pause the video at any moment to stretch, get something to drink or something to eat, or go to the bathroom. And as always, please make sure you have a notebook and a pen or a pencil ready, as you'll be taking notes throughout the video. Today we will be, in part 1 of the video, we introduce ourselves to phonological awareness, building children's phonological awareness, and part 1, which is focusing on phonological awareness during reading. And today's video will be going over practice 2, which is sorting, and practice 3, speaking and listening games. In today's video, you will be able to explain 3 key strategies that enhance the development of phonological awareness in children, and plan for and practice strategies within your own virtual classrooms. And practice 2, sorting. We're going to start with sorting. Yes, there were 3 practices for improving phonological awareness in children, like we talked about. Practice 1, which was covered on the previous video, is focus on phonological awareness during reading. Practice 2, what we're going to be going through right now, is sorting. Why is sorting important? Sorting allows children to categorize ideas. Sorting helps children to compare and contrast concepts. When you see children play, usually they do sort things into different categories, and they analyze in categories. For example, like when they play, they might categorize all the animals together and all the cars together, because they're able to categorize things. So you can use their ability to categorize things and their knowledge of categorizing things for phonological awareness. The steps for guiding students to sort is introduce the picture cards and header cards. Discard any cards that the children cannot recognize. So when you introduce to them picture cards with, let's say, a cat, make sure you have the word cat as a header. You have a header. That when you show them those cards, do not use any cards that the children cannot recognize. For example, don't use like a complicated item that the children might not be able to, like a microchip or USB port. Use picture cards of things that children in preschool age, 3 to 5, would recognize. And model the sort of a few cards. For example, if you're you're trying to help them learn syllables and you're categorizing based on syllables, you can model saying cat has small amount of syllables, so it goes in the small amount of syllables category. But computer has a lot of syllables, so that would be in the a lot of syllables category. So you can model sorting out a few cards so they could watch you. Just like language development, children learn best through modeling, so they see what you're doing and they could follow. Number 3 is have children help you sort the rest of the cards. Yes, like I said, once you model, the children will be able to follow you and copy what you did and learn from you. So modeling is one of the greatest ways to see children, not just pronunciation, phonological awareness, even social emotional learning. Children learn best through modeling. So they're watching you all the time. So you want to use your own actions as a way to teach. Number 4, provide children with the opportunity to sort their own cards and centers. So you can have different category of cards for different activities or different areas. For example, in the reading area, there could be cards about different type of books and pencils and markers and crayons. But in the kitchen playing area, you could have pans and forks and spoons. You could use the words for that area. So whatever activity that you're doing that week, the cards that you make, the sorting cards that you make, could be related to whatever activity you're doing or to whatever area that is in the classroom. But since virtual teaching, it will be to whatever activity that you will be working on that day or the theme of that week. So if you're talking about animals for 1 week, you would make the picture cards on animals. You would use animal picture cards to teach them phonological awareness. It could be syllables, it could be sentence segmentation, whatever the skill that you're trying to teach them. use the theme of that week to make the picture cards. Analyze and compare. Now we're gonna read to an example. So in that example, I want you to bring out your notebook and your pencil or pen and write down, what do you notice about the words that were chosen? How does the teacher encourage individual participation? How does she monitor individual performance? And how does she draw attention to the feature? I'm going to give you a minute to write these questions down or take note of them, so you'll be able to think of them when we read the classroom examples. I'd like it if you put the emphasis on what do you notice about the words that were chosen and how the teacher encourages individual participation, because we want to make sure that all children are participating in our activities. Let's go to the classroom example. So this is Mrs. Smith's classroom. Mrs. Smith, today I have some cards that I want to share with you. I have these 2 cards. This one is a mop and this one is a bat. These will be our headers. We're going to look at the other cards and decide if they sound like bat or mop. She holds up a card. She says, what is this picture? Before we move on, I want you to think about what kind of phonological awareness she's trying to teach them. So she's asking them, we're going to look at these cards and decide if they sound like bat or mop. So what do you think she is trying to teach them? And she says, what is this picture? Tyler says, map. Mrs. Smith, that's right, it is a map. I'm going to say it slowly. Map. Map. Mop. Map. Map. Mop or map. Bat. Map and mop sound the same at the beginning. So I will put map and mop together. Even here, she's saying out the words map, mop, or map, bat. Map and mop sound the same at the beginning. So I'll put map and mop together. Let's try another. What is this picture? Carlos, bag. That's right, it is a bag. I'm going to say it slowly. Bag. Bag, mop, or bag, bat. Bag and bat sound the same at the beginning, so I'll put bag and bat together. Let's try another. I need your help. What is this picture? Don't say it. I want you to think about it. Wait several seconds. Now, everyone say it. Mitten, the children say together. Mrs. Smith, great. Let's listen. Mitten, map. Mitten, bat. Don't say it. I want you to think about it. Wait several seconds. Show me one finger if you think mitten goes with map. Show me 2 fingers if you think mitten goes with bat. Now in this example, what did you notice? We could go back to the questions. What did you notice about the words that were chosen? The words that she chose are easy words that preschool age children, will usually know. And what the skill that she was trying to teach them is finding out words that have the same beginning sound. So she's teaching them to recognize similarities of beginning sounds. So she used map and mop, bat and bag, mitten, map, and mop. So she's teaching them words that have the same beginning sound. How does the teacher encourage individual participation? She does this by asking everybody to wait. If you read in this third third example, when she asked them about matching bag and bat, she says, let's try another one. Don't say it. I want you to think about it. She waits several seconds. Now ask everybody to wait. to respond. So what she's doing to encourage individual participation is that she's asking the children to wait and think about it, and then all of them say it together, because some of the children might need a minute or two to think about it, and some might be really fast at acknowledging the sounds that sound similar. So she waits for a second to give everybody some time, and then she asks everybody to respond together. That is how she's encouraging them. Another way is for students who might not want to say it. She asks them in the third example, raise your hand if you think, raise one finger if you think mitten and mop sound the same. And she says, raise two fingers if you think mitten and mop. Mitten and bat start with the same sounds. So she is using another mode of participation, which is raising their fingers. They just don't have to say it, they could just raise their fingers. So she's providing multiple modes of participation inside the classroom. How does she monitor individual performance? So she's doing that by asking all the students to answer, because she's saying everybody answer together. So she is providing everybody a chance to answer. How does she draw attention to the features? She isolates. How she draws attention to the features is she isolates the beginning sound as she says the word. If you go back to the example, when she says map, I'm going to say slowly, map. So she does slow down. She emphasizes the beginning sound, because that is what she wants them to recognize. So she emphasizes the beginning sound, but she also slowly reads the word. So that is the technique she used. Now we're going to look at another example. Example, Mr. Williams's classroom. Mr. Williams sees a group of students pulling out a box of his homemade picture cards. They open the box and dump out the cards. Mr. Williams has used these cards to play sorting and matching games with small groups of students in a structured way. But he stays back and waits to see how the boys will use the picture cards. Sam, I see sun, sailboat, sandbox, S, like in my name. Paul, my name has P. I see popcorn, puppy, pancake, like my name. Tito, moving cards around. I don't see my letter T. Paul, here's toy. Tito, oh look, tree. Sam, here is tiger. Mr. Williams decides to go over. Hi guys, what are you playing? Paul answers, words like names. Mr. Williams says, tell me more about that. Tito says, I have toy, tiger, tree. Sam, mine is S, sun, sandbox, sailboat. He shows his cards. Mr. Williams, looking back at Paul, what did you pick, Paul? And Paul says, pancake, puppy, popcorn, like Paul, he replied, laying down his cards. Mr. Williams, excellent work, guys. You have all chosen pictures of things that begin with the same letter as your name. I'm so proud of how hard you are working on learning your letters. He high fives everybody. So in this question, we're going to go back and think about the questions. What did you notice about the words that were chosen? The words that Mr. Williams used to make the cards. The words he used again are very simple words that children 3 to 5 in preschool are able to recognize. The words he chose are sun, sailboat, sandbox, popcorn, puppy, pancake, tree, tiger, and toy. So these are all words that children will be able to recognize the picture of. So simple words that children know. How does he encourage individual participation? So he encouraged individual participation by asking them one by one what they saw, and all of them presented their own 3 cards that they found that matched, the first letter matched their own name. So each child had a chance to participate, to present their own findings. How did he monitor individual performance? Yeah, like I said, he had every child read their own card. So he gave every child a chance to read their own card and to present to him what they found. How does he draw attention to the future? He drew attention to the phonological awareness feature by elongating the sound at the beginning of the words, but he also told them, he said, you have all chosen of things that begin with the same letter as your names. So he's telling them the skill that they just developed, which is recognizing the first letter of their names and picture cards. So they were able to recognize, for example, Paul was able to recognize that the P in his name is the same as the P in popcorn and puppy and pancake. So he helped them recognize what skills they used. Now let's ask, why is sorting useful? Why do you think sorting is a useful activity for children? And what do you think are the steps to help children learn? Sorting is a useful activity because it allows students to categorize ideas and it helps them to compare and contrast to understand concepts. For example, with the map and mop versus bag and bat, when the children were presented a card, for example, bag, they were able to recognize that bag and bat started with the same sound and compared to bag and mop. So it not only allows them to categorize things that sound the same, but it's also comparing things. So they're learning two things, that bag sounds similar to bat, but not sounds similar to mop. And the steps for guiding students to sorting is introduce picture cards and headers, remember, and discard cards that children do not recognize. Please try to use cards and things and items that children 3 to 5 years old in preschool might recognize. And model the sort of a few cards, model sorting for them, give them a chance to see how to sort by using your own actions. Have children help you sort the rest of the cards as you show them by modeling. You do too, and then you use them to help you finish the rest, and then provide children with the opportunity to sort their own cards as a center activity. So you could do it at different centers like we talked about. Sorting guidelines. Choose 2 to 4 headers. It's important to stick to 2 to 4 headers or categories because sorting in more than 2 to 4 categories can be confusing to children. You may consider starting with 2. Just start with 2 categories or 2 headers, and then you can keep adding more as you recognize the children. And once you figure out that they are able to categorize into 2, then you can add different categories and different headers. But I would say start off with 2. This is better because you want to scaffold their knowledge. Black and white drawings work best if you plan to print on black and white paper. So you could just print it on black and white paper. It doesn't have to be color, and it actually works best. Drawings also eliminate background image that may confuse children about the word. So when you choose the image for the picture words, make sure the image that you're choosing doesn't have any background at all. So for example, if you're choosing a plate, just show a picture of a plate, not a plate on top of a table, because they might get confused which one to emphasize on. If you're showing an orange, don't show an orange next to an apple, just the orange by itself. So eliminate background images. So if you could use drawings, that would be better too, because drawings usually have one item. So there's no confusion. Use words that are in the picture in the children's knowledge. See, use picture cards that are easy for children to recognize. Use words and concepts that are familiar to the children. And that means use words that are in the children's vocabulary, words that the children 2 to 3 in preschool age might know. If you introduce a word that is not familiar to the children and they can't easily remember it, then you should not continue using that word for sorting, because that is not good. You want to use words that they know, because the skill you're trying to teach them is not learning a new word. You're teaching them how to recognize you're teaching them phonological awareness. So the concepts that you're teaching them, for example, with the mop and bag and bat example, she's teaching them how to recognize the beginning sound of words. So it's not helpful for her to introduce new words that the children don't know, because what she's working on is just beginning sounds. So helping them learn beginning sounds, you could just use simple words that they know, because that is the concept that you're teaching for that moment. Example, this is syllable sorting. And Mrs. Smith's example, what she did was beginning sounds sorting. Now this example is syllable sorting. So you have short words and long words. Cat, hat, dog, top, fish, sun are short syllable words. Now long syllable words are hippopotamus, umbrella, dinosaur, snowman. So like you said, these are 2 headers, 2 categories. Like you said, do not go more than 2 at the beginning. Just use 2 categories. Use words and items that the children know. So almost all of these items that you have, most of these items, you could just show a drawing and most children will be able to recognize. So you're staying within the children's knowledge. Now we're gonna go to an activity. In this activity that I'm gonna show you a picture of it below, you're gonna write down how many headers were used. Were the pictures or objects easy to recognize for the children? Are the words familiar to most preschool students? These are the 3 things I want you to think about. How many headers were used? Were the pictures and objects easy for children to recognize? And are the words familiar to the children? Let's look at the example. I'm going to give you a second to write down your answers. How many headers are used or categories? Were the pictures and objects easy to recognize for children? Are the words familiar to most preschool children? Are the questions. So one column is one category, is cat, bat, rat, and is that mat? Okay, let's answer the questions. How many headers were used? There were 2 headers in this example, like 2 columns. There was a column or a header of hat, bat, rat, mat. And then the other column had dog, hog, log, fog. 0 through 2. And they were categorized. What do you think the phonological awareness? So if this was a picture card that you're using, what do you think you'll be able to teach using this card? Just listen to this: cat, bat, rat, mat, dog, hog, log, fog. So with this example, you're teaching children how to recognize rhyming words. Words that have the same ending sound: cat, bat, rat, mat, dog, hog, log, fog. So this example, this sorting example, cards, you can use to teach children about rhyming words or words that have the same ending sound. Next question, were the pictures or objects easy to recognize? Most of the pictures were easy to recognize, however, some could be confusing. For example, some children might want to say pig instead of hog, because they might not know that hog can be used to describe a pig. So that's one. And also the picture of the fog can be difficult for them to see. They might see trees, they might say tree, or they might say road. So those 2 pictures could be confusing. And if you printed them out in white and black and white, I think the fog, you might not even be able to see because it will blend into the background. So like the hog and the fog pictures might not be that easy for children to recognize the picture. So we might have to change those. Third question, are the words familiar to most preschool children? Yes, but from all of them, again, hog and fog might not be easy words for children to recognize, but being in San Francisco, children recognize the word fog, and like hog might be the most difficult for them because they live in a foggy city, so they might hear the word fog a lot. So depending where children are in the cultural background they come from, different, they might be able to recognize different words. So like children here might not be able to recognize log. Children growing up in cities might not be able to recognize log. Yeah. So I would say fog, hog, and maybe log might be difficult words for children to know, but you'll be surprised what children know. So now we're going to move on into an example where I want you guys to create a sorting game. Okay, I want you to pick one phonological awareness that you want to teach. Do you want to teach sentence segmentation? Do you want to teach recognizing similar beginning sounds? Do you want to teach rhyming words where they have to figure out similar ending sounds? Or do you want to teach short syllables and large words with a lot of syllables? So pick out a phonological awareness that you want to teach. Yeah, choose the phonological awareness skill, which is rhyming or syllables or beginning sound. And I want you to create a sort. Don't mind the third one. You don't have to share your sorting with a partner. So I want you to create a sort. Pick one awareness and create 2 categories. Simple 2 categories. I'm gonna give you guys a moment so you could pause this video and create your sorts and then get back to the video. Okay, I hope you are done with sorting. So now we're going to review your sort. I want you guys to have the categories that you created. The categories that you created are the number of headers manageable. Remember, we said to keep the headers or categories between 2 to 4. So it's the categories or headers that you created 2 to 4. And like I said earlier, it is better to start off with 2 and scaffold into 3 and 4 as you move along. So start off with 2. Will you be able to obtain clear pictures of the words that you chose? Remember, as we said, you want to be able to choose pictures that are, if you can, black and white, and if you can, drawings without any backgrounds. So of the words you chose for your sorting game, will you be able to obtain those pictures? Think about that. And from the words that you chose, which words do you think may be confusing for students? Did you choose any words that might be confusing to students? And you might want to think about words that might be confusing to dual language learners. And how might you be able to support their confusion? Think about that. When it's confusing for them, you can always bring props to clarify unknown words, or you can read about them in books. So for example, if the confusing word is, I don't know, a picture of a pineapple. So maybe you could show them a real pineapple and read a book about pineapple. Or maybe if the word that they're having a problem with is, I don't know, an astronaut, you could read them a book of an astronaut, show puppet astronaut. So it makes it more relatable. Sorting these words below into phonological awareness skills that are ideal. Okay, another example is we're going to sort these words below into phonological awareness skills that are ideal for sorting and those that are not ideal for sorting. So which of these phonological awareness do you think are easy to use sorting methods to teach children, or which ones do you think are difficult to use the sorting method to teach? The ideal ones are syllables and rhyming. Syllables and rhyming are, sorting is a great way to teach children syllables and rhyming. But sentence segmentation and onset rhyme is not, cannot be taught ideally with sorting. So sorting games are not a good way to teach children sentence segmentation or onset rhyme. But sorting games are a great way to teach children about syllables and rhyming. So if you want to teach children syllables and rhyming, sorting games is a great way to go. Now we're moving to practice 3, speaking and listening games. We are at the third practice. Remember, there are 3 practices for improving phonological awareness. Focus on phonological awareness during reading, sorting, and now speaking and listening. General tips for speaking and listening is select games that encourage language play. Think about how the games will facilitate language play. Think about which level of phonological awareness you are encouraging in that play. As with all activities, it is important for children to be engaged. Some children may be actively listening and they can't benefit from this encouragement and should be encouraged to participate. So encourage participation from all children. Like I said earlier, some children might be actively listening and they might not participate. So you need to encourage participation, maybe calling out names or using like everybody to get waiting a second and everybody answering it together like Mrs. Smith did, or you could use raising fingers, raising hands, different mode of participation. But just know some of the children who are not saying anything might be actively listening and just taking in the information. Excite children with your enthusiasm about language. The children, they'll look at you. So you model everything for them. So if you're enthusiastic and super excited and happy about an activity, that is infectious, and then they will get excited about the activity. Yes, your enthusiasm is contagious. If you're excited about these games, the children will be too. So if you sound bored and tired and stuff, you want to play. But if you begin, hey children, today we are gonna learn about rhyming words like cat and bat. So even the excitement and the enthusiasm in your voice and in your body language is contagious to get children excited. Respond positively and enthusiastically to children's response. When children respond, please acknowledge their effort to try and answer your questions. So like in the example, they would say, is it Paul? And yeah, Mr. Williams recognized all of them and said, you guys did a great job. You are correct. Not just a great job. He said, you are correct. You linked the first letter of your name with the first letter of the picture cards. So he told them, what they did was not just a good job, but he told them what they actually did. So he gave them a positive feedback, even if they are saying nonsense words and not giving you the right answer. It's not about the right answer. It's about them participating, raising their hands or being confident enough to say it out loud. So you want to acknowledge their participation in the games. Speaking and listening games. So we're going to go 1, activities with puppets, and 2, games with movement. Tips for phonological awareness activities with puppets. Choose example words before you begin. When blending, start with large chunks, then move to smaller chunks, like sun, flower, bicycle, cat. Offer children an opportunity to speak like the puppets to practice segmenting. Puppets are a great way to motivate children and can be done in a short period of time. But you might need to plan ahead about which words you wanted to use in puppets. It is also important to choose the words that you will be using before you begin using the puppet. So have it in your mind or write them down or practice. Planning ensures you will use your time well, yes. When using the puppet for blending, start with larger chunks, such as in compound words. Over time, you can progress to syllables, then actually individual sounds. It is possible you might get to the level of individual sound in preschool. That's okay. When you say the word bicycle in syllables, remember to pronounce each syllable just like you would say it in the whole world. Yeah, so compound words like sun, flower. So you start off by teaching them about bigger chunks, like the whole sun. What rhymes with sun? So rhyming is a great way. Sun, flower. But then as you go along, you start teaching about syllables, which means you start breaking down words into each sound in that word. Bicycle. But you start off with larger chunks. And once you speak with the puppet, if you change your voice and whatnot, if it was in a classroom, you would hand the puppet to the child and give them a chance to do it, but we were doing virtually. So maybe you could give them a chance to just sound like the puppet. Example, phonological awareness activities with puppets. Mrs. Allen, boys and girls, I want to introduce you to my friend, Robbie. Robbie is a robot, so he talks a little funny. Let's see if we can understand what he's trying to say. Robbie, tell the children your favorite flower. Robbie says, sunflower. Mrs. Allen, what did he say? Mason said, sunflower. Mrs. Allen replied, that's right, he said sunflower. Let's ask him another question. Robbie, what is your favorite toy? Race car. Mrs. Allen, what did he say? Carson, race car. That's right. Good listening, Carson. So in this example, you could hear that you can see that a puppet was used to practice phonological awareness skill with the children. And when you're reading stories or doing an activities, you can use puppets to facilitate children's phonological learning. What she's teaching them in this example is blending words. So sun and flower blended together make sunflower. Race and car blended together make race car. So Mrs. Allen is trying to teach them blended words. So she's using Robbie the robot to say the two words separately, sun, flower. And then the children recognize, oh, it is together, it is a blended word, and they say sunflower. So she's teaching them about blended words. That is the skill that they're learning. And we're going to watch a video about clapping syllables.
If I say banana, we can say banana has a name and it goes like this. How many claps? Banana, banana. Who has another idea for an object? Elena. Picture, okay? Picture has a name and it goes like this. Picture, picture. Good job, you guys. Oh, picture. How many is that? 2 beats. What about, yes, Abdullah? Scissors. Okay, this one's tricky. Ready? Scissors have a name and they go like this. Scissors, scissors. That was tricky. How many was that though? How many did it sound like? Scissors. 2.
So in that example, as you can see, the teacher was using a clapping method to teach syllables. She was using a clapping method to teach syllables. There was a picture, right? And banana. And they were saying scissors. So she's using a clapping method to teach children. But she's also asking them to generate their own words. So she originated banana, but then she asked them, what other words do you want? And one of the students said, picture. So she did picture. And then Abdullah said, scissors. So she said, that's a tricky one, but they tried it. They said, scissors. So she is using a clapping method to teach syllables. She's also generating ideas from the children. And they all clapped. They all were participating with her. They were clapping and saying the words. And she did slow down. So when the children were getting confused, she did say, okay, let's slow down. Because she recognized that pictures and scissors might be a little bit hard for the children. So when she saw the confusion, she automatically slowed down. And she did not use the word syllables. It is okay to use the word even with preschool age. But she didn't use the word syllables in that example, right? They were just clapping for the sound, but she did not tell them that they were clapping for syllables. Just interesting. Now we're going to go. So these were all games with, with puppets and clapping. Now we're going to move to games with the movement. Say it again and move it. So this game is the most complex game of phonological awareness. This is phonemic awareness. Remember that many typical developing children in preschool age might not be able to play this game until they reach kindergarten. So this might not be appropriate for the children like 3 or 4 years old. Maybe the older fives might be able to play this because phonemic recognition awareness is a little bit difficult for them. In this activity, children will pause. Oh, let me go back. Can I go back? Yeah. So children push a token for each sound. For example, you may say, we are going to move a token for each sound in the word cat. It is important that the child is saying the sound as they move the chip. They should also blend them together at the end. It is important to know that they are not using letter cards. They should only use tokens. So for teaching phonemic awareness, it is better to use tokens or coins or poker chips or pennies or little cutout of things, but not pictures or drawings. Because here in phonemic awareness, they're learning the sound each part of the word makes. So they're not learning the other phonological awarenesses. So for this example, it's better to use tokens like money or pennies, play money or pennies or poker chips or any cutout short. So you will teach them to push the token towards each word, each sound. K. You say k, and then they will ah, t, cat, k, ah, t, cat. And they would say it together. So at the end, make sure they say the whole word together. Cat. Yes. Please do not use letter cards for this. So this is one way to teach them with the movement. So they're saying the sound and moving. K. Let's go back. They'll say k and move it. A. T. Cat. So you're teaching them phonemic awareness, an awareness of each sound and a letter. Remember though, when we're teaching children phonological awareness, we begin with the whole chunk. That is recognizing beginning sounds and rhyming words like cat and bat, or bag and lag. So rhyming words and beginning sounds. You start off with the bigger chunks of knowledge, and then eventually you get to a point where you're teaching them phonemic awareness, which is the sound each letter makes in a word. Say it and move it. Let's see an example. Mrs. Taylor sees Lucas and Raja at her whiteboard working with her small group activity materials left up from yesterday's lesson on blending sounds to form words. There are several words on the board: map, tap, lap, and 3 magnetic dots below the words. Lucas is playing teacher and asking Raja to sound out the words, but neither can remember all of the sounds. Mrs. Taylor goes over to help facilitate. Miss Taylor says, Lucas and Raja, tell me about the game you're playing. Lucas says, we playing school. Raja says, help us with words, Miss Taylor, like yesterday. Miss Taylor, do you mean play our sound game? Lucas says, yes. Raja says, yes, more sounds. Mrs. Taylor erases yesterday's words and getting magnetic boards and dots for the children. Let's see. Remember the book we read this morning during circle time? Lucas says, cat and hat. Mrs. Taylor, good memory. The Cat in the Hat is our book this week. And she writes sat on her board. Use your own boards and magnets, and I'll use these magnets. Let's say these sounds as we move our dots up. S. She moves one magnet under S, waits for the kids to repeat and move their magnets. Ah. Kids repeat. T. Kids repeat. Let's say them a little faster and blend them together. Sa'at. What words do we make? Raja, sat. Miss Taylor, nice blending. Sa'at is sat. Let's try another. Move your magnets back down on your boards. And they erase and write cat. K. Waiting for children to repeat and move magnets. Ah. Kids repeat. T. Kids repeat. Let's blend these sounds together. K-at. What words do we make? Lucas says cat. Miss Taylor, exactly right. You two are learning more sounds and blending them together to create a word. So this example is a great way to teach children sounds that make up words, but remember, this is only appropriate for children who already know, who have phonemic awareness and can manipulate the smallest unit of sound in a word. So for like 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, this might not be appropriate. Even for 5-year-olds who are not able to recognize, who haven't had phonological awareness, this is too complicated for them because this needs children being able to recognize each sound in a word. So this is a complicated game that you could play once you recognize children are able to recognize each sounds that make up a word, each smallest unit that make up a word, and be able to blend it, which usually is like kindergarten age children. Now, games with movement, tips for sentence segmentation games. So when you're trying to teach them sentence segmentation, start with 2 to 3 word sentences. I like fish. I like you. At first, only include single syllable words. I like you. Increase the number of words and polysyllabic words as children progress. Start off with the basic 2 to 3 word sentences and use words that only have probably single syllable words. Begin sentences with very short sentences. Yes. Over time, you can increase the number of words and you can increase the amount of syllables in that word. But when you start off with 2 to 3 word sentences, only include single syllable words. I like you. Or I like bag. Stand up, sit down, sentence segmentation. Say a sentence, have one child stand up for each word, continue reading until all are standing, then read another sentence and have them sit down for each word. So for this example, you need to have like 8 children to sit in a chair at the front of the room, review the slides, and then use the sentence for the activity. I went shopping with my friend. This is too complicated for us actually, but you could use a stand up and sit down sentence segmentation. So you could have one child stand for the first word and second word. So they take turns standing up for each word. So you can see if they're able to recognize the word in the sentence. So this is for sentence segmentation. Now take out a piece of paper. Quickly recall and jot down general tips for speaking and listening games. Tips for sentence segmentation games. If you remember. What did you remember from the general tips for speaking and listening games that we talked about? And tips for sentence segmentation games. You could pause and work on this, and I'll give you the answer when you get back. Okay. The general tips for speaking and listening games is select games that encourage language play, encourage all children to participate by giving positive feedback and by encouraging everybody to participate, excite children with your own enthusiasm about language. Make sure you respond positively and enthusiastically to their response, even if it's not the correct answer, because you want to acknowledge their participation. Tips for sentence segmentation games is to start off with 2 to 3 word sentences, and only in the beginning, only use words that have one single syllable. And you can increase the number of words or polysyllabic words as students progress. So once you see that they're able to recognize, to break sentence into segments, if you're only using 3 word sentences and 1 syllable, then you could increase the amount of words, or you could increase the amount of syllables in each specific word as you move on. And blending and segmenting can be facilitated through the use of puppets and games with movements, like with the token, or sitting down and standing up, or using puppets. And this is it. So we covered phonological awareness practices, and the 3 practices we talked about in the 2 videos is focusing on phonological awareness during reading, sorting, and speaking and listening. So phonological awareness part 1 and part 2, you will be able to describe the development of phonological awareness in children, explain 3 key strategies that enhance the development of phonological awareness in children, plan for and participate practice strategies within your own classrooms, focus on phonological awareness during reading. This is the assignment. Don't worry about the assignment. The assignment will be posted on iLearn. Whichever you're going to be working on will be posted on iLearn. And that is it for phonological awareness. Have a nice day, guys. Bye.